Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and welcome back to System Shock Radio. So, I got some topics for you guys today, so without further ado, let's get right into them. Some interesting ones today that I want to talk about. But the first topic I want to talk about is a question, and these first two topics I'm going to talk about are both kind of questions, which is interesting. But the first question I want to ask, and subsequently the answer is, are superhero movies fading? Now, when I say fading, I more so mean in the public eye, where people are kind of not really as invested in them. And I think the answer to that might be possibly. The thing is, superhero movies still draw a lot of money and everything, and they're still making a lot of money, meaning there's still a market for them. There's very few superhero box office flops, but they exist. But nowadays, the reason I ask this question is more so because of not just public reception, but critic scores as well. Now, granted, critic scores, I feel like you shouldn't really take as gospel, because it's mostly someone else's opinion on stuff. You gotta see stuff for yourself and formulate your own opinion. But a lot of people talk about how things like the MCU who aren't as good as before, or how the DC movies have, and the DC movies I feel like for a while now have kind of been they kind of chug behind the MCU and everything, the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe, but otherwise, it seems like even the MCU can't quite get things right. And with the new movie, and the Wasp: Quantumania getting a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes, it begs the question, and are we kind of moving on to superhero movies? And the thing is, I do love superhero movies. But there is a lot of them, and it's hard to play catch up. In fact, I'm still not even caught up with all the MCU movies. The only two latest Marvel movies I've seen is No Way Home and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, both of which I reviewed on my channel. So if you haven't already, go check those out. Go check out the reviews, I should say. But the only reason that I was even caught up with those movies is because I went to the theaters to go see them, and Black Widow as well. For Black Widow, he and my friend went to the movies, and we actually saw it in 4D, which is like all the cool effects and stuff, and it's almost like a theme park ride mixed with your movie. So like the chairs move around and stuff. He wanted to take me to one of those movies just to kind of experience it, and it's more like a gimmick sort of thing. But Spider-Man No Way Home I saw it normally, but it's because I really wanted to see that movie. But Black Widow and Doctor Strange I saw with the 4D. But other than that, I'm not really caught up with the MCU. But things I heard about it and some of the things I've kind of seen haven't been that great. Both Ant-Man and the Wasp and Eternals are in the rotten scores, and the rest seem to be losing that MCU, that classic MCU luster, as well as the TV shows and everything. And apparently nobody likes the She-Hulk TV show. The Moon Knight one got some positive feedback. The Marvels, I don't think is out yet, and so I'm not gonna comment on that. But no, the Marvels has been delayed, I think. No, the movie. You see how far behind I am on the MCU, but yeah. So it seems like people are kind of moving away from superhero movies, and I've seen some people saying like, okay, enough of the superhero movies, but for a while they seem to dominate the theaters. Like, superhero movies have always been around, but it seemed like ever since the dawn of the MCU, starting with Iron Man in 2008, for ages superhero movies dominated the theaters. Everybody went to go see them. Everybody's like, have you seen the latest Marvel movie and everything? And especially because everything's connected together through the Infinity Saga, which I did a retrospective on the Infinity Saga. But let me know in the comments, because I only reviewed a couple movies from the Infinity Saga, and that's because I was seeing them for the first time. So those stuff like Captain Marvel and Avengers Endgame in the Infinity Saga. But let me know in the comments. Do you guys want me to go back and review the other MCU Infinity Saga movies? But with those superhero movies, like, a lot of people went to go see them. But now that the MCU has moved away from the Infinity Saga into the Multiverse Saga, it seems like some of that luster has been gone, and hopefully they're able to get it back, because the Marvel movies were awesome, and I do want to see them continue, but I feel like some people are getting tired of the superhero movies and everything. And like I said, DC is DC, where they're trying to throw a lot of stuff against the wall to see what sticks. Sadly, not a lot of it is. They have had some hits, such as like the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League, or like the Suicide Squad movie from 2021, if I believe. But otherwise, seems like people kind of are moving away from superhero movies, which is a bit disappointing. But let me know in the comments your thoughts on that. Do you think superhero movies are fading? Do you think they're going through a rough period before they pick back up again? And what do you want to see in your superhero movies? Hopefully, with like at least with DC, with the changing of the guard, with James Gunn taking over, things can improve. Apparently, a lot of changes are coming with James Gunn in charge, and hopefully the MCU is able to pick back up. And I'm sure they might, especially with Kang looking to be the next major MCU villain, and with the Kang Dynasty right around the corner. Yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about is another question. Like I said, there are two questions to start off with. And the next question that I want to ask is Carmelo Hayes the next NXT champion? So if you watch my review of NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day, which if you haven't already, go check that out. Or if you watch NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day, and I don't know why I call it takeover. They're not called takeovers anymore. I should say. But if you saw NXT Vengeance Day from this year, it looks like Carmelo Hayes is going to be challenging Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship. Does this mean that Carmelo Hayes is next in line for an NXT title shot? And with people sort of apparently starting to turn on Braun Breaker. There was a report that apparently those were plants, which means Braun Breaker might be a double turn, because Carmelo Hayes is heel right now, with Carmelo Hayes turning face and then Braun Breaker turning heel. But otherwise, will Carmelo Hayes beat Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship? Me personally, I'd like to see so. The thing is, Braun almost from day one has been a major star in like the 2.0 era of NXT. Like, he was one of the first guys that they really pushed and really put focus on. And then but so was Carmelo Hayes, and both men, and they can implement this into the story. Yeah, these guys, both men definitely helped carry NXT through the 2.0 days and now into the white and gold era of NXT. Both men definitely focal points in terms of not just story but match quality. More so on the part of Carmelo Hayes, but will this lead to Carmelo Hayes capturing the NXT title? Well, I think this would be the perfect time for Braun Breaker to pass the baton off to Carmelo Hayes. Like, hey, Carmelo's definitely has the star quality about him, not just in his charisma, but in his in-ring work and everything. Carmelo Hayes is definitely a bona fide star, and even some of the higher ups in NXT seem to think so. Definitely see Carmelo Hayes as a star. Shawn Michaels gave him like a personal endorsement, saying like he'd love to see Carmelo Hayes on the main roster, although I do fear Carmelo might get lost in the shuffle on the main roster, like a lot of NXT stars. But as for Carmelo Hayes being the next NXT champion, I'd really like to see it. The next thing I want to talk about is the potential Hall of Fame inductees in the WWE for the class of 2023. So because it is WrestleMania season, we're transitioning into WrestleMania season. That means the Hall of Fame inductees are sure to be right around the corner, and people have already speculating. So I guess I'll put in my 2 cents. In terms of like the headliner, because there's always a really big name that headlines. Last year was the Undertaker, and things like that. And then I think the year previous was DX. In like '09 it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then in like 2011 was Shawn Michaels, etc., etc. But this year I think the headliner might be Batista. Batista was actually supposed to go in for the class of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, either 2020 or 2021. But he agreed. He and WWE agreed to have it take place at a later date because he had prior commitments. So this year might be the year that Batista goes in as the headliner. And then some of the others, like people that should be in the WWE Hall of Fame but aren't in the WWE Hall of Fame yet, especially like Big Boss Man. He's not in. I don't think Tori Wilson is in. I'd like to see her go in, or like Michelle McCool would be pretty cool to see. I forget some of the other names that people said. They usually put in like a tag team. If they weren't in AEW, the Hardy Boys would be a really good choice, or Edge and Christian. And as a tag team, those would be some really solid choices. There's probably going to be a celebrity in the Hall of Fame because there pretty much always is. It's been like that for years. That's not going to change. At least have it be like a good celebrity. But it makes you wonder who's going in the Hall of Fame this year. Some people have said Rick Martel, which is surprising he's not in yet. I'd like to see him go in, and it might be another big surprise because like last year the Steiner brothers, I don't think anybody was expecting the Steiner brothers to go in. But yeah, so I'm excited to see who goes in the WWE Hall of Fame for the year 2023. The next thing I want to talk about is Call of Duty coming to Nintendo, more specifically Nintendo Switch. Either that or perhaps a new Nintendo console, as some people have speculated. And apparently a deal was made by I believe Activision to have Call of Duty be on Nintendo for the next 10 years, a Nintendo console for the next 10 years. Of course, Call of Duty, no stranger to Nintendo consoles. Some of the games like Modern Warfare or Black Ops made it to the Wii and the Wii U. Some of the games in the Modern Warfare and Black Ops series made it onto the Wii and Wii U. They had some of the portable games for DS. But will they make their way to Nintendo Switch? And what can we expect for Call of Duty for Nintendo Switch? It'll because of like the size of Call of Duty and everything, it'll likely be cloud based, like they did for other stuff like Kingdom Hearts and everything. So it might be cloud based. And people are speculating, will it be the latest Call of Duty games, such as whichever game is going to come out for Call of Duty this year, or like Modern Warfare 2, which came out last year. Will it be something like Modern Warfare Remastered? Will it be a game specifically for Nintendo? Specifically made for the Nintendo Switch? Will it be Call of Duty Mobile coming to Nintendo Switch? It's all this speculation, all very interesting. So so I'll be interested to see how Call of Duty goes about coming to Nintendo Switch. But the last thing I want to talk about right here is beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Now, that's likely a phrase or a saying that you've heard a bunch of times in life. But what exactly does it mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder? I guess I can sum it up as people interpret different things different ways. What might be beautiful to one person may not necessarily be beautiful to other people. And the thing is with your interpretation, let your interpretation be your interpretation, and see beauty in how you interpret things, not changing it or or tweaking it because someone else. Now, it's one thing if someone else brings up something and you can go from there, but changing it just because someone sees something different, not the way to go. How you interpret things is how you interpret things. It's usually unique to you, and being able to see beauty where others may not see things that same way is so underrated and so cool. For example, a lot of people will see beauty in modern stuff. A lot of people see beauty in older stuff. Those two interpretations unique to those two viewpoints. Let me know if this is making any sense. But that beauty being in the eye of the beholder, or pretty much how you see things is how you see things, and how you interpret things. How you interpret beauty may not be the same as how someone else interprets beauty. That could go for art, that can go for music, which music is kind of like an art. So how you interpret things is how you interpret things, and interpret things how you interpret things. If that makes any sense. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. Turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, excuse me, so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments below your reaction to anything I talked about in this episode, and I will see you guys later. Peace.